Good morning. Good Tov. Good Vach to everybody. Shavua Tov. And welcome to Mystical Teachings from the Tanya. Ooh, what's going on here? I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zichron Kadesh in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Oh, a little challenge over here. How come I don't see all the posts? I don't see all the comments that are coming up. That's a little unusual. So give me a moment. We'll have to do something to get this going. Sorry, a moment, folks. Oh, all right. There we go. Okay. So we're a good Tavach Shavua Tov, a good week to everybody. Thank you for joining on Facebook, on Clubhouse, on Instagram. We have Vilma, Sina, Marcy, Gabrielle, Aviva. We have Mon Voyage, Violet, and Michelle. We have Atfab that with us, Linda, Liba, and Davida in New York. Good morning and welcome. Tim from Texas, Shavua Tov. Andrew is with us from Springfield, New Jersey. Good morning, and good morning to Irma in St. Martin. Manuela in Germany, good afternoon. Rena is with us in Colorado. And Pacho, I hope I pronounced that right, Shalom. TJ, Erev Tov to you in Melbourne. Clem in Brisbane, good evening. Andrea is with us in Phoenix. Galis, Shalom, good morning. Daisy in Jerusalem, in the Holy City. Welcome. Michael is with us in Germany. Good afternoon. Zuzka, I hope I pronounced that right. Like Zis, which means sweet. I don't know if that's what it means in whatever language. Boker Tov. Lisa in England, welcome. Awix is in the Philippines with us. Welcome. Michelle, good week to you. Cindy in Florida, welcome. Tony, welcome to you. Gina in Calgary. When it's snowy in Calgary. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's something. Deborah, good morning to you in Kitchener, Ontario. Snowing there too? No, probably not. Deborah in Florida, welcome. Leanna in Montreal, good vach. And who else is with us? Deborah. And okay, wonderful. All right, folks. Today's class, since it's a Sunday, so we do the Shabbos class and then we go into the Sunday class, a double header, shall we say. Okay. Give me a moment. Clean my glasses. And let us get into the heart of discussion here. In chapter 44, we're speaking about two types of love. One is that God is my very life, because he's my very soul. My soul that animates my body. My body really wants the soul to animate it, give it life. So if we're in tune with our soul, we really want to be attached and not be disconnected from God, because he is our very life. Furthermore, another type is that we are like a child and God is our father. And just like a child is ready to give up their lives, metaphorically at least, I hope it's not just an idea, but for their mother and father because their mother and father is more dear to them than life itself. So likewise, there's this concept of doing for God because to attach to God is more dear than life itself. So doing a mitzvah like we're doing now, studying Torah, learning Tanya, is when we have the mindfulness, the awareness that this is more important than life itself, meaning that I'm ready to put aside and to sacrifice. And what that means in these terms is I want to give God the divine gratification, and that's more valuable than any other thing that I can do and accomplish, more than life itself. So that's what we explained till now. So now the Alter Rebbe takes this, that these two categories of love, right, that he is my true life, and he is my father, that I am ready to do for entirely. So these two notions are an inherent... Oh, what happened to Instagram? We lost it. Okay. These two notions, or these two types of love, are an inheritance to us. What does it mean it's an inheritance? It means it's something that's a given. It's not something that we're achieving, so to speak, on our own. We're not achieving this on our own, these two types of love. We are achieving it or revealing something that's there in our soul. In other words, that God is my very life and that he is my father. That is very much a part of the makeup of the soul. Therefore, I want to be totally connected, and I don't want to be disconnected at any time. Which, by the way, that's the idea of love and fear, that the fear is part of the love. Because you want the attachment, you don't want to be disattached, you don't want to be disconnected, torn away at all. Because it's being torn away from life, as being the source of life. It's being torn away from your father. Right? So therefore, it's called a natural love. Now, even though it's a natural love, or a what's the word? An inheritance. That's the nature of the soul. Yet, if we contemplate, meditate, and from that awareness brings actually to a feeling in the heart where we have a real sense of it, then if you recall, we learned in chapters 38, 39, 40, that love and awe are the two wings that allow our mitzvah to ascend on high. So in a mitzvah, there is the divine connection that we make through the act of the mitzvah with the intention, with the love and fear, right? The fear of disconnect. Our mitzvah, not only are we bound up with God here, but they ascend to the divine. So if you're propelled by an awareness that brings it to your heart, then it will go to the world of Bria, to the world of divine comprehension. Because of your divine comprehension, your comprehension rather, that brought it into a palpable feeling in the heart, from the mind to the heart, then it will propel with wings to the world of Bria. If though you are just mindful of this, right? You're aware, you think it, but it doesn't bring you to a feeling in the heart. That's okay. It still is divine, because the very fact that we contemplate the thought, we meditate upon it, that God is my life, that God is my father. The very fact that we do that in the act of doing the mitzvah, like we're doing right now, studying of Torah, it will propel the mitzvah with wings to the divine in the world of Yetzirah, the world of formation, which is the world of divine emotion, which is the instinct. In other words, our natural instinct is being of that attachment is being thought of, and even though it's not bringing again to any real feeling in the heart, that's okay. That's amazing. It still has an eternity to it. It still has something eternal to it. It rises up to the world of Yetzirah. Now, so at the same time, though, these two loves, even though, you need some kind of mindful awareness, you need to think it, right? Minimally. And therefore it rises above. Yet it has a quality as a gift from above. As we said, it's an inheritance. And what that means that it's a gift from above, it has a quality that's gifted from the world of Atzilus. So we said that it can propel with our contemplation, if it brings to an actual feeling in the heart, that it will propel itself with wings to the world of Bria. And without that, then just because we have a mental awareness and we have a sense of that truth, that God is my very life, my very soul, He is my Father. And even though I don't really feel it palpably in my heart, that's fine. But the fact is that I'm aware of that truth. I think it. So goes the world of Yetzirah. But at the same time, there has another quality to it. It has a quality of avarabba, of this magnanimous, wondrous love that comes as a gift from above. Because in a sense, it is a gift because it's an inheritance. And what it means that it's a gift, it means it comes from the world of Atzilus, the world of emanation, which is not a world of creation. It's beyond creation. So what comes out of these two loves have something very powerful about them. They both have the quality of, you gotta, bring it out from its emergence from the hiddenness of the soul. You gotta think it, you gotta meditate upon it. At the same time, it's a gift. That is something beyond I could reach. It is something that is gifted to us, that is a part of the world of Atzilus, and therefore it has that quality as a result. So it's the best. If you recall, we've spoken previously when we spoke in chapter 43 about the two types of love. We spoke about two types of love. One is that you use your mind, and the other one is that you just reveal the natural state of your heart, of your soul. And here we have both coming together. We're revealing the natural state of the soul because this is something that is gifted to us, in inheritance to us, the nature of the soul. But at the same time, we're using our minds to bring out its emergence from its hiddenness. So it has the two different qualities as a result. And therefore, unique form of love. Unique form of love. Any questions or thoughts on that? I know now that. Anybody on this before we continue? The following class, actually, today's class. This was from yesterday, Shabbos. A reminder on Facebook and Instagram, if you have a question, 2 question marks first, and then ask your question so that I know indeed it is a question, as opposed to, there's a lot of conversation that goes back and forth over here, which is amazing, by the way, I gotta tell you. It's beautiful. Clubhouse, anybody to share?
It definitely is a higher awareness that is a higher kind of love when we realize that God is everything and the source of our very existence. It's something to contemplate every day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, it has the two qualities over here. On one hand, it's a gift, and therefore it's has the divine light and connection of the world of Atzilus, which is the world of emanation. And at the same time, there is my meditative meditation of it, which means my engagement, my involvement to bring that which is a gift, an inheritance in the makeup of our soul, that it should emerge from its deep recesses of the soul and should emerge as a reality, as a sense that we truly have. Whether it's only a mental thing, and I know there's mental capacity that we have, that we are just aware of that, and even if it doesn't come into your heart, that you really feel it. It still has wings and it flies. Very good. Let me see. I know now. Anybody has I know now that can share? God is how we are here, and we have inherent hunger for God, same as the desire for food. And as such, we should crave for life as a result of the same. It's interesting. You know, the real reason why we crave other things, if we dig deep, is because we ultimately crave a connection to God. We sometimes think that it's the external thing that we want, whether it's the food, whether it's the experience, whether it's some, kind of pleasure. But really, what's behind that and what's deeper, so when we recognize, is our desire to be connected. Because when we're connected to the divine, then we feel whole, complete, purposeful. And the gaping holes of the soul are filled with that connection. Yes, very good. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Very good. Okay, we conclude now the 44th chapter. And the Alter Rebbe says that, yes, we have these two types of love that are an inheritance to the soul, the fact that the very soul recognizes that God is its only reality, its only form of vitality, its only truth, and all it wants is that connection, period. And it doesn't want to be disconnected from that. Likewise, at the same time, the other kind of love, that God is my Father. In other words, the soul has an inherent realization of the fact that God is our Father, and just like a child wants to be connected to a parent, and not only wants to be connected to a parent, but is ready to give up for the sake of the parent, because the love is greater for the parent than life itself, in this metaphor of the child. So likewise, the soul's desire to be connected and not to be disconnected from God is greater than life itself. So with that notion, that this is something intrinsic, the Alter Rebbe says something interesting now. I mean, he always says something interesting, but he throws a curveball. You know what the curveball is? So, well, that's amazing. But you know what? The original kind of love that we spoke about in chapter 43, which is about not about your soul's connection to God, right? But about you contemplating about your relationship to God, about God's greatness in the world as creator, that he is, not limited to just the fact that I have him in my heart and soul, but God is found within creation, and truly understanding the evolution of spiritual to physical, to understand the spiritual worlds, the world of emanation, Atzilus, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya, and understand the 10 divine attributes, and to truly meditate and contemplate and bring about what he calls a fiery love of God. As opposed to what we've been speaking till now is not a fiery kind of love. It is metaphorically like calm waters. Let me explain. And here I'm going to segue to human relationships. And from the human relationships, we'll be able to understand divine relationships. There are two types of love that we have because there's two types of relationships that we have. That which is analogous to calm waters and that which is analogous to fiery fire. A fiery flame. We'll start off with the calm waters. Calm waters is just like, a love that's just natural. It's there, as we have been speaking about. That God is my Father. Well, it is so in human relationships. It is a sibling relationship. It's natural. It's just there. It is something that we feel comfortable with, right? Except for when you have problems within the family. But think about it. I know when my kids get together, and I'm very blessed, extremely blessed. Aside from the fact, thank God, having 10 kids, many grandchildren, they are so comfortable with each other and love their company, to be with each other. It's beautiful. It's just, why? Because they grew up together. So they're the same, they have the same parents. They know each other. There's probably not too many surprises. And it's just calm waters. Can there be arguments? Can there problems? Yeah, obviously. But the nature of this love is, it's just there. And it expresses itself in the familiarity that is comfortable. That's comfortable. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So that's the way it is with parents, children with parents, siblings, probably the best way to give such a metaphor. It is an inherent love that's naturally there. It doesn't take so much to, kind of bring it out because of the comfort that there is, the familiarity that there is. So that's one kind of love. The natural and calm waters. Then there's another type of love that's not natural. That's between. What I mean not natural. I don't know if that's the right word. It's not inherent. It's not an inherent love. A guy meets a girl. They get married. That kind of love is a fiery flame, right? That's what we call that kind of. Now, that fiery flame, what is that a metaphor of? The intensity of it. The closer you come, the more intense it is. Now, just for the sake of the metaphor and to understand the relationships between siblings, there should not be intensity of a passion in the relationship. Calm waters, natural. Shouldn't be a passion, God forbid. That's very unhealthy. And likewise, between husband and wife, it shouldn't be calm waters. Just taken for granted. It's there, natural. It has to have the element of a fiery flame. Now that fiery flame, just like a flame flickers, right? So likewise, this kind of relationship is one that brings passion. What's passion do? Passion is because there's a distance, you want to get close. That's what passion is, right? You don't have that with your sibling. Why? Because you are close. But being that, men are from Chochmah and women are from Bina, not from Mars and Venus, much further distance. Chochmah and Bina, they come from two different makeups of soul. So they're not inherently connected. Yes, two halves of one soul, one from getting married and so on, absolutely. But there's a natural separation. And because of that natural separation, what that creates, distance creates passion. When you have the closeness, you know, the passion isn't there as the distance creates. So that distance creates that you want to come close. From coming close, then getting too familiar is not healthy. You need to create the distance again. Distance in the sense of having respect and giving the space to your spouse, right? But then that distance further creates the passion to come back together. And that is in a human relationship. There's a lot that we can discuss about this, and perhaps in our discussion we can talk more about it. But I'm using that as a metaphor to understand the difference between the two loves that we spoke about that are calm waters, that God is my very soul, my very life, and He is my Father. Those two are inherent to the soul, and therefore they're like calm waters. They're naturally there. The challenge with that is it doesn't create a passion. It doesn't create a fire in the individual. Fire or passion is created because of distance. Calm waters is because of closeness. So there is, it's calm relationship. It's just still. It's just there. It's natural. Siblings. Husband and wife, there has to be the passion there. That passion is, well, because there is a difference between man and woman. And that difference creates a distance, which is good, in order that that can create a passion to bring together. And as close as you come together, then you realize, I thought I got her. I see she's still beyond. And there's intellectually, emotionally also, that there creates some kind of distance. And that distance, not an unhealthy distance, a distance that because of creating a space for the other, but then that distance creates the passion to come back together. Whether it's coming back together, in relations, which is the ultimate idea of how that distance creates the passion and therefore the desire to unite and become one. So in our relationship with God, this is the idea of meditating and thinking about God's greatness. Not thinking about how I have an inherent connection with Him. That's the calm, still waters, which is beautiful, but it doesn't create a passion, right? A child doesn't have a passion for their father. They have a desire to be bonded and connected and not to be disconnected. So this kind of love that we're talking about doesn't create a passion to connect to God, not a fiery love, but the calm, still waters. But when we meditate and think about God and His greatness, right? That creates a passion. Why? Because the distance. He's so great, and I'm so small compared. Right? That creates a distance, which therefore creates a passion, because you want to connect. You want to come close. So it creates a fire in your soul. There's something superior of this than the calm, still waters of that God is my very soul, my very being. He is my Father. There's something greater, superior over this kind of love. Because again, the fiery flame that it creates, the passion that it creates. Similar to the Alter Rebbe says, to the excellence of gold over silver. As we'll understand more in chapter 50 when we discuss that. But Gold, not only does it, ounce for ounce have more value, but it's got this glimmer to it. It's got this shine to it that makes it very attractive. So that's a metaphor for us to appreciate the glimmer, the shine that there is in this contemplating, not about my relationship to God and right, but about God and His greatness, Him as Creator, appreciating creation, understanding God within creation. So again, what that does is create a distance. Because anytime you know, think about someone's greatness, and how much greater they are than you, that naturally creates a distance, and you want to overcome that distance to get close. So, like in human relations between husband and wife, and here we're talking about our relationship with God. So when we contemplate that greatness of God, it will create that passionate fire flame within us that we want to overcome that distance to be connected. And in conclusion of the chapter, the Alter Rebbe says, besides, this is the whole purpose of man, is that we should know the glory of God, His majestic splendor, of His greatness. Each person according to their capacity, as the Zohar says. Begin d'ishtamunale, that in order that we should know God. Right? So to have a connection to God, that He's my Father, that's not knowing Him. That's not about knowing Him. That's about my intrinsic connection with Him, my innate connection with Him. But to know God, to know Him, not as my Father, but Him, in every aspect that I can know of Him, everything that I'm capable of knowing of Him, His greatness, well, that's going to create a strong passion, because there's going to be a big bridge that we need to gap because of the distance, the healthy distance. After all, He's God, I'm not. So that will naturally create that sense of distance that creates a passion that you want to now come close. Powerful idea. So not only do we need to develop a love for God that is intrinsic, that is inherent to the soul, as we spoke about these two forms of love, the Rebbe says we also have to work on another kind of love, that fiery passion. Now in human relations, it's one or the other. It should not be both. Don't create with your siblings a fiery passion for them. God forbid. Or for your parents. And likewise for your spouse. Don't create or don't develop like this calm, still waters of the natural, good friends. That's good, husband and wife. It's great that there be not just good friends, but best friends. Amazing. But there needs to be that sense of distance that creates a passion in order to come closer and connect. Any questions, any comments on this powerful idea? Okay, Deborah. God bless you. Denise is asking a question. Is Ahavas Yisrael calm waters type of love? Yes. Why? Because my soul is a Jewish soul. And every other Jew's soul is a Jewish soul. So there's a natural bond that we have. You ever been in the airport and you meet a fellow Jew? You instantaneously feel a bond. Hi. And you strike up a conversation. Why? It's natural. It's the calm, still waters of the bond that we naturally have, right? Because we feel connected. So that's what it is. Good question. Thank you for asking that, Denise. Okay. I know now that. Who can offer that on this second part? Or am I see you didn't for okay. Instagrammers, anybody? Oh, I don't see any questions or any comments. Anybody on Clubhouse? Sina, Marcy, Aviva, Chana, Blaz, I don't know what, Michael. Wow, I would have thought we'd have lots of conversation on this. Davida, did I miss anybody? Marcy. Marcy, please share with us.
I was just thinking about all the different types of loves, and I realize it's a metaphor. It doesn't approach the reality of the complexity of feelings of love. Because you were talking about like how you wouldn't have a passionate relationship with your sibling, but there are passions that are not sexual, lustful in nature. Not just anger and other complex emotions, but protectiveness and other things that are deeply passionately engaged, but not weird.
Right, I get you, Marcy.
And so, like, I don't know, to reduce love to a two-pronged definition seems very restrictive. I don't think. When you think about like the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov and how he taught to love God passionately, like it didn't feel like. It feels like to say there's only two ways. There's only two kinds of levels. It feels very constrained.
So, thank you for sharing that. What we're saying here, we're going to learn actually more kinds of love next chapters and the next coming chapters, but they're all based on two fundamental types of love. That's the point over here. The point is the expression of that love is I think perhaps what you might be referring to in the restrictions is, yes, there is not just the two we spoke about, and now the third one of actually we spoke about four altogether till now. I'll speak more, but there's two fundamental types of love. The calm waters, meaning inherent. Why do you love? Because you are inherently have that love within you because of the nature of your soul. So, like Denise asked about Ahavas Yisrael, about loving another Jew, the mitzvah that we have is because we have the same soul connection, so it's an inherent love. It's not something we need to create. We're not creating it, that kind of love. It's there. That's one, and that's a predominant one. But then there's one that's not there, so to speak. You kind of produce it. You need to produce it. And that is your awareness of God's greatness, right? You're producing it because you're becoming aware of it. And because of that awareness, it creates the distance. In other words, at the same time, God is your father, but now at this moment, the feeling is not that he's my father. The feeling is of his greatness and the distance I have from him that creates a passion to come close. So that's, I don't think that limits, that's just giving an understanding of the two natures of love, two basic natures of love. The way they're expressed, we'll have more expressions of it beyond what we've explained till now. That's one point. Second point, you mentioned about, or actually might have been your first point, about with siblings that you might have a passion about something, but it's not a you're right. It doesn't mean you can't show passion, but you're not showing passion because of a distance. The passion you're expressing is because of a closeness. But when distance is created, and because of that distance you want to get close, that's what creates a passion. So, this is, by the way, just as we're talking about the discussion, that's the laws of family purity, of mikvah. They are not laws of that are what's the word I'm looking for, are imposed upon the relationship. No. The fact that a husband and wife can't be with each other at a certain point in the month of the menstrual cycle is not an imposition. You may feel it's an imposition, but that's not what it is. It's actually a reflection of the relationship. There's a time that you're on, a time that you're off, a time that you're close, and a time that you are physically distant. Shouldn't be, even emotionally, you're more distant because you're not going to express the passion at that moment. You shouldn't feel disconnected from your spouse at that time when you're not physically together, but there will be not as a passionate emotional feeling at that time because you have a distance. The point of that distance is ultimately to create that passion to be able to come back together. And then come back together, you separate again. Why are you separating? Because each time the passion can become stronger. Each time the coming together can be deeper as a result of that. And it's not a relationship of being familiar, because it's not intrinsic. Not intrinsic in the sense, it is two halves of one soul, so it's soulfully, but not, lovingly, shall we say, in that sense. I hope that was clear. Did that clarify anything, Marcy? Okay, thank you. Davida is asking, if you are estranged from someone, there's a distance and no love. How does that create passion? Distance doesn't have to create passion. You feel distant from a person. Not all distance is meant to create passion. The only passion that's meant to create is between a husband and wife, because there is a connection between them, and there should be a sense of fire in the relationship, and it shouldn't be just best buds. It needs to be more than that. So distance between friends because you don't connect with them anymore. Okay, so you don't connect with them anymore, but it's not meant to create a passion. So I'm not clear on why distance doesn't mean there has to be passion. Ken. Where is your question? Ken, can you repost it? Oh, here it is. Okay. When you say that our mitzvahs get wings, does that mean that an angel carries that? Good question, Ken. Actually, when we do a mitzvah this way, it's greater than angels. Angels are created beings. Our wings to the mitzvah go to the divine attributes of God, and they're one with God. So they're much, much, incredibly and infinitely greater than the wings of a of an angel that are created beings. So no, they're not carried by the angels. I mean, uh, they're way beyond the angels. The angels are created beings, and this is um, connected to the divine, and therefore eternal. And therefore eternal. Good. Thank you, Ken, for that question. Okay. It was regards for those who are estranged family members. So estranged family members, you will have an inherent connection with them. Calm waters, right? You're not supposed to create a passion. Now, again, that doesn't mean you can't act, as Marcy rightfully said, that doesn't mean you don't get passionate about, one of your siblings is doing something and you are, actually I had this the other day of speaking with someone who was so upset with it and passionate about their sibling, what they had done to their, to the family, like unwittingly, they just did something very foolish and was very passionate about it. You're right. It was passion. It wasn't any sexual connotation to it. So that's not the kind of passion we're talking about. We're talking about a passion of feeling the distance, and you want to overcome that distance to become close. Here was a passionate, not for the person. It was passionate. I mean, passionate because of the person, but not for the person. Right? It wasn't passion for the person. It was an inherent love that she had for her brother, and that she spoke about the idea that what happened in a passionate way. So very different. So yes, you can speak very passionately about something, but it's about something. It's not about the person that you're having the passion for. Here we're talking about having a passion for God because of the distance that you feel, because you think about God as creator, think about his greatness, and therefore that creates a distance, because in fact we are distant from any sense of God and his capability of being omnipotent, omniscient, and so on and so forth. So I hope that, Davida, I hope that explained it. And Marcy, I hope I gave greater clarification to your very good point.
So I want to add something to this.
Sure, please do.
So to qualify what you're saying about love, our love for God is very unique. It's not like the love that we have for any other human being. And it's really hard to, talk about it, because we tend to relate to love the way we relate to other people. But the love of God is so vastly different from the love we have and the relationships that we have to any other human or any other being. So when you say our love of God is both a fiery flame and as calm as water, these two types of love exist as part of our human relationship with God only, not with other people.
Right. With other people, it'll be one or the other. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, very well said. Very true. It'll be one or the other. Yes, thank you for clarifying that. Now, we use the human dimension in order that we can better understand our relationship and our love for God and the different capabilities or different aspects of it. Absolutely. Very nice. Anybody else? Marcy, Baccia, Sina, Viva. Anybody else something to share? I know now. Can I get a new I know for this one? Okay. Marcy, you wanted to say something?
I was going to say, I know now to look for the love in relationships in the way I connect to people and to God.
Very good, thank you. And because now we have a more profound, deeper understanding of the different concepts of love, that awareness is definitely going to help us in our connection with God and our connection with every other person that we have a loving relationship with. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Michelle has a question, but no question mark. Okay, let me find that if I can. Michelle, would the passion be on the act of the person? I'm not clear what you mean on the act of the person. You mean the person acted in a certain way and that created a passion? Yeah, of course that can be. Um, we're talking about, when we speak about passion here, we're talking about a passion for the person rather than a passion uh, about something that the person did, right? Two different things. So in a husband and wife relationship, there should be a passion for the spouse, for the siblings. You can be passionate about something about your siblings, but it's not a passion for them. That's a natural love that we have. It is being expressed. All right, beautiful, 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 folks. A reminder tonight we have a Torah studies class, 6:30 Eastern time, or daylight savings time, perhaps. Come and join. It's going to be very, actually, might be somewhat of a continuation of some of the thoughts that we have here. Actually, there will be some, yeah, it is somewhat connected. It'd be interesting. And that's tonight, 6:30. That's on Chabad ZK Facebook or on Zoom. We can't put it up over here because they don't, or Zoom you could actually. Davida, if you can put the Zoom, that would be great. Okay. And come and join us. All right. Vilma, please close up shop for us.
Thank you all for joining and participating with Rabbi Ronnie Fine on Chabad of Facebook and Chabad of Clubhouse. If you'd like to follow Rabbi Ronnie, please do. And the Chabad of Clubhouse, you can click on the green house and follow us for more discussions. Thank you so much, Rabbi, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Shalom.